The year is 2014, and at this time, I was an 8th grader in middle school. But I vividly remember when J. Cole dropped his third album, 2014 Forest Hills Drive, in December of that year. Previous to the album, I remember telling my friends that J. Cole was one of the best rappers out there, but some of my friends didn't listen to rap, and others just didn't think that he was that good. They favored other artists that were bigger than him at the time, but all of that changed when J. Cole dropped 2014 Forest Hills Drive. After that, I remember everybody at my middle school was talking about the album. People were at the lunch tables talking about songs like Wet Dreams, Fire Squad, and A Tale of Two Cities. We would rap and break down the bars on the song. It was an incredible time. I miss those days. But this album is when I noticed a shift amongst my peers. But before I get any more into the video, I would quickly like to plug that I made a TikTok that you guys should go follow. I'll be posting content on there. I'm trying to get that popping, so definitely go out and support that. And if you haven't already done it yet, go follow my Instagram too. That would be greatly appreciated. You guys can always reach out and just show me some love. It's all good. But now we're shifting to the story of the album. Previous to 2014, J. Cole was already 2 albums in. His debut album, Cole World: The Sideline Story, was released in September of 2011, peaking at number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart, selling 218,000 copies in its first week. Born Sinner would come after this in June of 2013, starting at number 2 on the Billboard 200 charts, selling 297,000 copies in the United States in its first week. It went head to head with Kanye's album Yeezus, which sold 327,000 copies in its first week. 3 weeks after the release of Born Sinner, the album would finally top the Billboard 200 charts, selling 58,000 more copies. But both his albums so far were met with generally positive reviews from critics and were of course beloved by his fans. Leading up to 2014 Forest Hills Drive, J. Cole did not drop any singles at all. He would release a video announcing the album in November of 2014, telling people that they had 3 weeks to prepare. 2 months prior to this, it was reported that J. Cole was working on a new album, but in November of 2014 is when he officially announced that he was dropping one. The name of the album, 2014 Forest Hills Drive, is a reference to the address of his childhood home. It was the last house that he lived in Fayetteville, North Carolina, which he represents. He lived there from around the age of 11 until he turned 18. After this, he would attend college at St. John's University in New York. The house on 2014 Forest Hills Drive is significant to him because his real dad and mom divorced when he was a very young kid. He was born on a military base in Germany, but when the divorce was finalized, his family would move to what he describes as a rough trailer park neighborhood. From here, they would move to Lewis Street in Fayetteville. Years later in 2020, J. Cole would make an EP in reference to the street. But his family would live in a tiny house on Lewis Street. But compared to the trailer park, the neighborhood was amazing to him. And then his mom would eventually meet who would become his stepdad. The two would get married and move to Forest Hills Drive, which was a life-changing experience for Cole because he now had his own room. They also had a front yard and a driveway. He had tons of coming-of-age memories in this house, so that's why it left a bitter taste in his mouth when he found out that the house would be foreclosed while he was in college. And so by the time I went away to school to New York to come to college, my first semester at school, I got a call from her saying she got a letter in the mail, and the letter basically was saying that she was 4 months back on her mortgage payments, which my stepfather was supposed to be taking care of. He was in the army too. He had got assigned. He assigned himself to go to Thailand. The agreement was that he would make the mortgage payments while he was going, cause you get separation pay, extra pay for being overseas away from your family. So the agreement was he'd make the mortgage payments. She gets a letter in the mail basically saying it hasn't been made in 4 months. That's $3,200, please. We need that right now. $3,200 is like $1 million. There's no way she's ever coming up with that type of money. So she just panicked, left the house, and they came and foreclosed the house. All this time I was away in school, really powerless. So that always left a sour taste in my mouth, the way that house got snatched from us. J. Cole talks about this on the album. There is a happy ending though, because in the summer of 2014, J. Cole would buy back the house for over $100,000. He has said that it's the first house that he's ever owned. Previous to the album, J. Cole was struggling with the pressure of expectations. He constantly worried about how other people perceived him and his work. He was basing his happiness on how others felt about him. While making this album, he realized that he had to base happiness on what he already had. This gave him a different energy while making the album compared to his first two commercial releases. On the 5th anniversary of 2014 Forest Hills Drive, Ibrahim Hamad would reply to tweets from fans asking him questions about the album. For those who don't know, Ibrahim is J. Cole's manager alongside being a co-founder of Dreamville Records with J. Cole. He would say that J. Cole first came up with the title of 2014 Forest Hills Drive in December of 2013. This was in the back of a tour bus on the What Dreams May Come Europe tour. At least that's when the concept was first brought to him. It seemed like it was a relatively new idea from Cole's energy. Unfortunately for Cole, the album would leak nearly a week before it was set to officially release. On a positive note, it did build up more anticipation for the album due to the early reviews people gave it. Finally, in December of 2014, J. Cole would release 2014 Forest Hills Drive. The album would peak at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 353,000 copies in its first week. Mind you, J. Cole did this with little promotion beforehand, including no singles prior, and of course, he would eventually go multi-platinum with no features. But this album was really a turning point for Cole. He already had number 1 albums and sold hundreds of thousands of copies, but this would be his first album to go platinum. I also feel like this is when he fully crossed over, but this will complete the first part of the video where I broke down the backstory behind the album. In the next section, I'll break down the album track by track while also telling the story behind each track. The album starts off with the intro, which is produced by Ron Gilmore and J. Cole himself. During the refrain of the song, Cole asks the audience if they want to be free and happy. In his verse, he further asks the audience if they want to be free from pain and scars. The intro would be made the same week that he made the song Be Free. In this song, Cole raps about his feelings about what happened to Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri. Such a great way to start off the album though, and it really sets the tone for what's in store, with the next track being January 28th. This is the date of J. Cole's birthday. As many already might know, J. Cole was one of the first artists to sign with Roc Nation. Roc Nation is an entertainment agency founded by Jay-Z in 2008, so it comes as no surprise that January 28th is most likely a reference to Jay-Z's song December 4th, which appeared on his 2003 album, The Black Album. Both tracks are very similar due to Jay-Z and J. Cole reminiscing about the childhood while also naming the tracks after their birthdays. In the intro of January 28th, J. Cole calls back to the intro of the album and questions himself if he can go from rags to riches and become a commercially successful rapper. In Cole's third verse, he calls himself a god and tells people to check their birthday. He mentions Rakim, who's known as the God MC, and he was also born on January 28th. He was born in 1968 though. Something else to mention is that J. Cole references January 28th on the last track of the album, Note to Self. At the beginning of his speech, J. Cole gave thanks to whoever in Japan cleared the sample for the track. It would be the last sample that was cleared for the album. The song January 28th samples the song Sky Restaurant by Hi-Fi Set.
The real is back. Veil is back, flow bananas here, peel this back, and what you'll find is
J. Cole could not get in touch with the people who made the song that they sampled for a month. The sample clearance came from Japan at 2 a.m. when their final deadline to turn in the album was at 9 a.m. that same morning. So the song was very close to not making the final cut, but it made it right before the buzzer. Speaking of this though, 2014 Forest Hills Drive came very close to dropping in 2015 instead of in 2014. The album was released in December of 2014, but it very well could have been pushed back to January of 2015. It would have been pretty goofy because the address of J. Cole's childhood home and the year that the album was released matched up. Dropping 2014 Forest Hills Drive in 2015 just doesn't sound right. But we move from January 28th and transition to a super personal yet relatable song in Wet Dreamz. Essentially, this is a song about J. Cole telling a story about losing his virginity, but this would be the second single off of the album, peaking at number 61 on the Billboard Hot 100. What's interesting about the song is that Wet Dreamz was originally supposed to appear on J. Cole's debut album, Cold World: The Sideline Story, which was released in 2011. In an interview with Soul Culture in 2010, J. Cole revealed 3 tracks that made the cut for his debut album. Those tracks were It Won't Be Long, Never Told, and Wet Dreamz. Never Told did make the album, but It Won't Be Long did not, which is a shame because it's a very good J. Cole song. Wet Dreamz did not make it as well, and it also did not make the cut of J. Cole's sophomore album Born Sinner in 2013. It would finally have a home on 2014 Forest Hills Drive. Ibrahim would say that the song wasn't for a Sideline Story, which is interesting because Cole said it out of his own mouth in that Soul Culture interview that I just mentioned. It fits perfectly in the timeline of the album after January 28th before 03 Adolescence. Obviously, the whole album was a timeline, so everything happens for a reason. The song did spark up a debate among J. Cole fans because the story seemingly contradicts what J. Cole said in his song Too Deep for the Intro on his 2010 mixtape Friday Night Lights. In the second verse of Too Deep for the Intro, J. Cole raps about if he should admit if a slutty girl was his first smash. He further says that he always wondered if his first time would be with someone he cared about. In Wet Dreamz, J. Cole says that the girl that he lost his virginity to was a virgin and he had a crush on her. In 2016, Ibrahim would be questioned about the legitimacy of Wet Dreamz. He would say that the song was a fictional story and that he did not know who J. Cole lost his virginity to. Something that I really do love about this track is the sample, which is a song by Family Circle titled Mariah. I don't think enough people talk about how incredible J. Cole is as a producer. He can definitely get down, and this song is evidence. Though he did produce Wet Dreamz, he would not produce the next track, which is 03 Adolescence. It would be produced by Willie B. The title of the song is significant because in 2003, J. Cole graduated from Terry Sanford High School. In the song, he takes us back to his adolescent years when he had troubles with women, self-esteem issues, and other problems. Earlier, I mentioned that Forest Hills Drive went platinum without any features. In fact, as of today, the album is triple platinum without any features, which is an amazing feat. This would be a huge meme online, similar to the Young Boy Better meme. I bring up J. Cole going platinum without features again because this almost did not happen. In 2019, on the 5th anniversary of 2014 Forest Hills Drive, Ibrahim tweeted that they were trying to get Mos Def on the hook of 03 Adolescence. He would also say that they wanted to get Future to do the end of No Role Models, but things never worked out. It was also reported that J. Cole did a song with Crazy and Busy Bone of Bone Thugs and Harmony for the album. To my knowledge, this song has yet to leak or be officially released. But as I said, if everything went according to plan, the platinum with no features meme would have never happened. J. Cole isn't the first rapper to do so, which I also did not know. As of 2016, he was the first rapper in 25 years to go double platinum with no features. According to Spin Magazine, Vanilla Ice is the most recent rapper aside from J. Cole to reach that milestone. He did this for his debut album in 1990 titled To the Extreme. 03 Adolescence is one of my favorite songs on the album, and it almost did not make it due to issues with one of the samples in the song. Ibrahim would talk about this in a tweet. He would further say that J. Cole told the sample owner that he would hold 100% of the song for the sample owner to have until they figured out the dispute, because he had to have the song on the album. But the end of '03 Adolescence then fades into A Tale of Two Cities. This is when the album really starts to take a turn. The title is in reference to a novel of the same name by Charles Dickens. The novel is set in London and Paris before and during the French Revolution. It tells the stories of two connected families in 18th century London and Paris, exploring everything from love and loss to murder and family intrigue, thus teaching us about history, ethics, and the complexity of human relationships. The protagonist, the main character Charles, is connected to the French aristocracy by blood, although he has renounced all connection to the family and sympathizes with the oppressed citizens of France. However, some revolutionaries are unable to see past his lineage, and he is doomed to suffer for the crimes of his ancestors despite his life's actions. In an interview with Tavis Smiley, J. Cole would be asked about the song. He would say that he tells the song from two different perspectives. The first verse is more so from his perspective. He moves to a new house in a new neighborhood, which makes him feel like a foreigner compared to his old neighborhood. This was his experience on Forest Hills Drive, which is a stark contrast from where he lived before. The second verse details a different perspective from someone on the other side of Fayetteville. This person wants a better life for themselves as well, but goes about it in an illegal way. This song, along with Wet Dreams, are the songs that I really gravitated to when this album dropped when I was 13 in middle school. Real ones on this channel would know that I'm from Omaha, Nebraska. Yes, there are black people in Nebraska, and I'm from the city, not the cornfields, but I was born and raised in North Omaha, which is known as the bad part of Omaha, but I went to school out in West Omaha, which is considered the nice part. You would think that it's two different cities with how different they are. I think a lot of people can relate to that because it's like that in a lot of cities. That's why this song really hit home for me, and is why I love the song so much. Even in the HBO documentary about the album, people were asked about how they feel about Fayetteville, and they got mixed answers. But sadly, this song is an unfortunate reality. But J. Cole touched on this topic years back on his 2010 mixtape Friday Night Lights on the song Two Face.
I seen heaven, seen hell, the two faces of the veil. One side dreams, the other side's real. One side schemes, the other side deals with what the pain brings. Another mother cries still.
Vinyls would produce the song A Tale of Two Cities along with the next song on the album, Fire Squad. J. Cole has production credits on the song as well. While speaking on the song, Vinyls would say that J. Cole reached out to him and said that he loved his sound. Previous to working with J. Cole, he did production on Jay-Z's 2013 album Magna Carta Holy Grail on the song F of Me You Know I Got It. He also worked with people like French Montana, Drake, and DJ Khaled, among other people. J. Cole did not really mess with too many producers, but he did like Vinyl's sound and wanted to work with him. Fire Squad was the first record that the two worked on together. J. Cole made the skeleton of the beat, and then Vinyls came in after and put his touches on it. The song would spark controversy due to what Cole would rap about in his third verse. He would rap about how Elvis took his sound from black artists, just like Justin Timberlake, Eminem, and Macklemore did. While people argue about snatching the crown, white people have snatched the sound. J. Cole also mentions when Macklemore won Best Rap Album at the 2014 Grammy Awards, beating out albums like Good Kid, Mad City by Kendrick Lamar, Yeezus by Kanye West, Nothing Was the Same by Drake, and Magna Carta Holy Grail by Jay-Z. This left people greatly upset, and Macklemore would even apologize to Kendrick Lamar via text for, in his words, robbing him. People to this day are still upset about him winning, and I'm not gonna lie, I can definitely see why, because the lineup for the best rap album that year was stacked. J. Cole would even joke about going to the Grammys Dapper Down just to watch Iggy Azalea win a Grammy as he tried to crack a smile. Back in those days, Iggy Azalea was being positioned as the next big thing, especially in rap, which led to a lot of hate. People even went as far as to say that she was ruining hip-hop. But this verse on Fire Squad led to a huge debate about whether people thought that he was dissing the people that he mentioned or not. I mean, in the song, J. Cole said that he was just playing, but all good jokes contain an element of truth. In an interview with Angie Martinez, the same month that 2014 Forest Hills Drive was released, J. Cole would say that the line was not a dig at Eminem. The mood of the album would shift again with the next track, Saint Tropez. The title of the song is in reference to Saint Tropez in France. Now with this song, J. Cole was on his way to Hollywood and was about to get paid. During his tour for the album, he would stop at the O2 Arena in London in the UK and he would talk about the song.
I'm gonna keep it 100 when I tell y'all. I don't even really know where the fuck Saint Tropez is at. On the map. I don't know where it's at. I don't give a fuck. But what I do know, or what I think is, Saint Tropez seems like the type of place that really rich people go to. Am I right or am I wrong? When they got a lot of money and they want to be photographed on like yachts and shit. But when I talk about Saint Tropez on this song, I don't mean it literally, it's just a fucking metaphor. Hollywood tour, I'm not even talking about Hollywood. It's all a metaphor. And a lot of times when you come from a small city, like I do, you suffer, or you can suffer from what we call a small town mentality. Now what that means is, you turn on the TV and you see a place like Saint Tropez, or you see a place like Hollywood, California, or you see a place like New York City, and you tell yourself, man, I want to go there one day. I hope I can go there one day. And that's your dream. But a lot of times, a lot of people I know get so caught up in their small town mentality that they never leave the city. Why? Because they so comfortable right where they at. And they so afraid to leave. The fear of the unknown.
The next song on the album is Get Off My D, which would continue the theme of Saint Tropez. On Saint Tropez, J. Cole was on his way to Hollywood, but now on Get Off My D, Cole calls himself Hollywood Cole and says that he went Hollywood. To go Hollywood is basically saying that someone is acting bougie and too cool from how they once were. He has a line at the end of his first verse where he calls himself the best kept secret. So much to the point that Jay-Z tried to keep him a secret, but J. Cole would leak his 2010 mixtape Friday Night Lights, which brought him a lot of attention. Who Dat would be J. Cole's first single for his debut album, but it would fail to chart. This would be my first introduction to J. Cole, with me watching the video premiere on BET. As a kid, I was amazed by the song. Me and my brother loved the song. Due to the song not doing so hot on the charts, Jay-Z would not give J. Cole a release date for his debut album, which prompted him to leak his mixtape Friday Night Lights. Like I said, Who Dat was my first introduction to J. Cole, but Friday Night Lights was how a lot of other people first found out about him. One thing that has always stood out to me about Get Off My D is the beat for the song that J. Cole produced. In 2021, J. Cole would do an interview with Narwhal. This interview would be shot at Windmark Studios in Santa Monica, California, where J. Cole did work for the album. I did that beat in that room of the studio. It was me, and I had a play of Branford Marsalis. He did the soundtrack for a movie that was based off a play of August Wilson, which my mom originally took me to see in Fayetteville. At that play, I heard them singing this song and I was like, oh God. I went to YouTube to try to scour the globe for this sample that I had heard of this play, and luckily, Branford Marsalis had did the soundtrack for the movie they created for this play. So I looped it up, chopped it up, put the drums on it. My man Ron Gilmore pulled up and put the keys on it. I came back to the studio the next day and wrote the song. It was a lot of pressure because I knew the beat was hard. Get Off My D would transition into No Role Models, which ended up being the third single for the album. It would peak at number 36 on the Billboard Hot 100. This is a fan favorite from the album that discusses the women that J. Cole came across when he got to LA. Before the chorus, J. Cole would give a shout out to two different type of girls, his LA sisters and his LA hoes. Lame people cannot tell the difference, but some people can. J. Cole himself has described that he has a notorious dislike for reality shows and its culture. He feels that corporations are pimping blacks for a quick check. People make themselves look foolish on TV for a check. His problem is that you have little girls who watch TV and look up to these reality TV stars as role models when they're not. This is why he references people like Lisa Bonet, Nia Long, Aaliyah, and Sade as being women that girls should look up to. He was too young to have these girls, so now he was stuck with reality TV girls who probably cannot even read the script that they're given. But speaking of Nia Long, she would respond to J. Cole's line about him being too young for her. She set social media ablaze when she said that J. Cole was not too young for her. But J. Cole has quite a few notable lines in this song. Another one is that he wants that Jada and Will love. This is of course a reference to the marriage of Jada Pinkett and Will Smith. Back then when he said this in 2014, everyone pretty much got behind it because Jada and Will came off as this perfect black couple that people looked up to, but in the late 2010s and early 2020s, this is when things really got flipped upside down with the whole August Alsina entanglement thing. The less we talk about that, the better though. But speaking of Will Smith, in the first verse of No Role Models, J. Cole gives an RIP to Uncle Phil and that he was the only father that he ever knew. Of course, Uncle Phil is the uncle of Will Smith on the TV sitcom The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. J. Cole looked up to Uncle Phil as a father figure due to him not having one. The hook of No Role Models interpolates the Project Pat song Don't Save Her.
She don't wanna be saved, don't save her. She don't wanna be saved.
Don't save her. She don't wanna be saved. Don't save her. She don't wanna be saved.
But during the interlude of the song, J. Cole sampled a speech from former President George W. Bush. He would be giving a speech in Nashville, Tennessee in 2002 when he would butcher the saying of "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me."
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, "Fool me once, shame on you." If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
The last thing that I want to mention is that Phonics Beats will talk about the song on the Genius series Deconstructed. In the video, he would detail how the song came together. J. Cole would hear the beat to No Role Models and instantly wanted to work with him. The song Hello would follow No Role Models. The story of the song is that J. Cole decides to call up one of his old girls from his past, trying to rekindle what they once had. Fans have speculated that this could be the same girl that J. Cole once rapped about on the Game's 2012 album Jesus Piece on the song Pray, given the details. It doesn't end there because people also think that Cole references the same girl on his song The Autograph from his 2010 mixtape Friday Night Lights. In the last two songs that I mentioned, J. Cole says that the woman is a wife and has a kid. On Hello, this woman has 2 kids, but he does not mention her being a wife. The song apparently would follow this, and it would be the first single for the album, peaking at number 58 on the Billboard Hot 100. In the first verse of the song, J. Cole reminisces about his past. He would open up about his childhood home. I already pretty much detailed this at the beginning of the video about when J. Cole was off in college and his childhood home would be foreclosed. The second verse of the song is not as deep, with J. Cole just pretty much showcasing his wordplay. The second to last track on the album is Love Yours. It would be the last single for the album, but it failed to chart on the Billboard Hot 100. On Love Yours, J. Cole draws back to the same themes as he did on the intro to this album. Now everything is full circle. In 2016, 2 years after the release of 2014 Forest Hills Drive, J. Cole would drop the live version of the album to coincide with his 31st birthday. On the live version of the track Love Yours, Cole would say, "As I really started to take a closer look at all the stuff we want and all the stuff we need that makes us happy, I started to see for mine with my own eyes. Like, wait a minute, that stuff don't feel right. That stuff feel weird. And I started to notice that all of that stuff that they tried to tell us is all BS and it's all wrong and it's not what we need to make us happy. I had to figure that stuff out on my own." It's a man right now. He got millions of effing dollars. He got $1 billion. He got everything that we think we need to be happy. He got it. He got money. He got the cars. He got the big crib. 3 or 4 of them girls. He got the genetically impossible wife. And he got girls. But yet, this dude is effing miserable. He's empty inside. But you got a family that comes from where you come from this city right here, worse conditions than what we come from. They couldn't afford a ticket to this show tonight if they effing wanted one, but yet somehow they got more happiness and joy in their lives than this man will ever have in his effing life. How is that possible? Love. There's a video on the Genius series Deconstructed with one of the producers of the track Ill Mind who breaks down the making of the track. If you want to know more about the song, I highly suggest that you go watch it. This leaves us with the last track on the album, Note to Self. It's more of a speech per se, which is similar to Kanye's song Last Call from his 2004 album, The College Dropout. It served as the credits of the album due to Cole not getting them in on time. During his speech, J.Cole would shout out over 90 people who made the album possible. There are two interesting names that J.Cole mentions at the end. Those two names are Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Jonah Hill. At the end, he would reveal that he was just joking. In 2013, Dale was interviewed by USA Today, and in this interview, he would say that the song Power Trip by J. Cole was his favorite song at the moment. In 2015, Dale and J. Cole would end up on the front page of ESPN Music Magazine and be interviewed together. Jonah Hill responded to J. Cole's shout out via a tweet in 2016. He called his shout out in the song Cool. And no, I'm not going to mention everybody that J. Cole shouted out on Note to Self. We would be here all day if that was the case. And just like that, the album concludes. Definitely one of my favorite albums of all time. Brings a ton of nostalgia from my middle school years. One of the most fun times in my life, and I'm sure others can relate. If you want to learn more about the album, J. Cole did a 5-episode documentary on HBO called J. Cole Road to Homecoming. Definitely give that a watch because I personally enjoyed it. All in all, this album is phenomenal. I'm out of here though. I love you guys with all my heart. Peace.